What is up, everybody? All right, we are counting down the days until the release of Legends of Runeterra. Finally, it's going to be, I think, about 8 days or so until technically the first group of people will have access, and then everybody will have access in about 9 days from the date this video is getting put up. So I'm excited. Let's start the hype train. And today, we're going to be finishing out these 6 region reviews that we've been doing for the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks or so. And we saved the best for last in Shadow Isles. So, welcome back if you have been here through the entire journey of the 5 other regions. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works. Thank you for coming along for this ride, and consider hitting that subscribe button if you are going to be playing Legends of Runeterra. The content is going to continue to roll out as this game releases. I am super excited to bring you guys tons of different deck ideas and who knows what else as far as videos are concerned. So, without further ado, let's get into Shadow Isles. The one, the only Shadow Isles. And if you have been paying any attention to Legends of Runeterra as of late, or were in either of the first 2 betas, you'll know that Shadow Isles was essentially pretty busted in comparison to all of the other classes. And the biggest reason for that is this very first category in Aggro, and they are getting this should come as no surprise, a 6 out of 6. So right off the bat, you have the ISLES engine. So if you guys haven't seen ISLES, she's a decent champion. She's also a 2-drop, which is huge. You can get her on the board very early. And every time you attack, you're summoning a 1/1 token. And when she levels up, you have all of your spiders getting Challenger and Fearsome, which is just so good for controlling the state of the game, controlling the flow of every single battle phase. And with that ISLES engine comes pretty much all the other cards in Shadow Isles. Or not, I shouldn't say all, like half of them. There's so many cards in this set that are based around spiders, be they spells, followers. You got Crawling Sensation, 1 cost, get 2 tokens on the field on your first turn. You have Hapless Aristocrat, which is one of the better 1-drops in the game, being able to have that strong last breath effect to really create some early field presence. And all of the other random spiders like Frenzy Skitterer. We also got Brood Awakening, which is a pretty decent spell. They actually nerfed it. It used to cost 5. Which made it pretty good, but it's still okay at 6 mana. And you have Arachnid Horror. So just that spider engine alone is pretty good aggro. Where this region really started to shine was during the second beta, where everybody started kind of figuring out these combos with the Shadow Isles and basically killing off their own units and ephemeral. And that's when their aggro went from like a really good to completely ridiculously busted. As always, I'm going to stop everybody right quick. If you clicked on this video, probably most people clicked on this video because it's Shadow Isles. It's probably the most searched region right now for Legends of Runeterra. If you click the region for Shadow Isles, hit that sub button. There's so much more Shadow Isles stuff that's going to be coming down the pipe, as well as other regions, Demacia, Ionia. We do have all the other reviews. All the links are going to be below in the description. But if you're here for the Shadow Isles goodness, don't forget to hit the like button on the video. Everything about this card shows a few different things that I think they need to fix with Legends of Runeterra. One of them namely being that we don't have access to a graveyard or remove from game pile for that matter. And this card interacts directly with those. But forget that. That's a whole other discussion. This thing is ridiculous. Every single time you get an ephemeral ally on the field, then it attacks, this thing comes back from the dead. And when you start to build an entire deck around this with cards like Soul Shepherd, and then even Hecarim is another champion that revolves around summoning ephemeral allies. A lot of people obviously comboed this with Zed, the Noxus champion, to get a little bit more ephemeral action going on. The aggro capabilities of this class, almost entirely because of Shark Chariot, give this a 6 out of 6. All right, next up we have Control, and honestly, I know I'm gonna probably get some flack for this, and I'm even kind of torn with my decision with the control category with these regions. So that is definitely something that's going to change as the beta metagame starts to kind of get fleshed out this third time around, especially if they make any nerfs to Shadow Isles or any other regions for that matter. They're getting a 4 out of 6. Now, that's still pretty good. Most people are going to be like, well, Justin, what about Vengeance? Vengeance in and of itself, pay 7, kill a unit, it's fast speed, pretty good card. Then you have something like Ruination, which is literally the definition of control in killing all units. It's slow speed, but not really a big deal when you're killing all units. So their control options are kind of nuts. You also have some great lower cost options like Black Spear. Black Spear is probably one of the strongest cards in the game. 2 cost, deal 3 damage with a not so difficult activator. You have Withering Whale, which gives a little bit of heal and lifesteal to Shadow Isles deck. And you also have Grasp of the Undying. So there's so many good damage, removal, healing options in this region. They're only getting the 4 out of 6 really because I just feel that Ionia and Freljord are just stronger at being strictly control. Because we haven't really seen a control Shadow Isles deck necessarily, like strictly control. It's usually based around combo or aggro. There is a Commander Lidros deck floating around, which honestly I never played it during the 2 betas, but I want to try it because it seems super fun and that has kind of a control feel to it. So you know, they do get some credit for having a control like deck, but overall I just feel like Freljord and Ionia have them beat. Otherwise they would have gotten 6 out of 6 no problem. Next up is combo, and they're getting a 5 out of 6. Their combos are nuts busted. With the Shark Chariot, it's insane. They're not getting the 6 out of 6 because, again, if you go to the Noxus review video, I still feel like Noxus has far more combo potential than any other region in the game right now. Shadow Isles, right this second, probably has the strongest combo type deck, which is with the Shark Chariot and the Ephemeral with Zed and stuff like that, kind of being like a combo aggro type deck. They also have the self-killing combos, so you have stuff like Ancient Crocolith and Cursed Keeper, which just kind of trigger all these death rattles that give you really good effects. And then you have other combo ephemeral cards like Fading Memories and Oblivious Islander that kind of, you know, mess with the ephemeral cards in your hand before they even hit the field and allow you to combo off even better, especially Oblivious Islander. And the coup de grace for their combo is the Harrowing. And the Harrowing is, I think, a pretty strong card. I'm not sure if they really need to nerf it or not come this next beta, but revive the 6 highest power units that died this game and grant them Ephemeral. That's like a really good OT. You know what the Harrowing reminds me of? This is a throwback to Yu-Gi-Oh! Return from the Different Dimension. That one was pay half your life points. This is pay 10 mana. So similar in that it's a very large cost, but it reminds me exactly of that. So for that reason, I love this card because I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think that this card should definitely stay in the game as is. And as of now, this is probably the finisher, and we'll probably get to it as a power card later for Shadow Isles. All right, and next up we have mid-range, and they're only getting a 2 out of 6 for mid-range. They kind of seem lopsided, right, Shadow Isles? So we mentioned that the only reason they didn't get a 6 out of 6 in control was because of Ionia and Freljord. Otherwise, they could totally pull off control. I mean, they have the lifesteal, so the heal. They do have the removal. They have the control aspects that they would need in order to pull that off. They also have great aggro. They get a 6 out of 6 in aggro, right? But as far as the mid game is concerned, even the spiders, like the spiders would be their best shot at really having a core mid game strategy. And it's really not that great. They kind of fall off, especially if you clear the field once of spiders. They lose traction very, very quickly because they have to maintain that field presence. And you can see, even kind of looking at their 3-cost followers and their 4-cost followers, a lot of them are more utility based than they are to playing towards a mid-game strategy. And a lot of them also assist with things like the ephemeral combo and also something like Phantom Prankster, the self-killing combo where you kill off your own units to work towards a win condition. Spells. Okay, so this is really what gives them the 4 out of 6 and keeps them in the same discussion with Ionia and Freljord. Their spells, not really, if you don't consider burst, because their burst spells I don't think are that great, but their spells overall are amazing. Okay, we just went over the Harrowing, We just went over Ruination. We just went over Vengeance. Those 3 cards right there are incredibly good. On top of that, you have Grasp of the Undying. You have Vile Feast is even good. You have Glimpse Beyond, which is a great draw engine. You have Black Spear, another great removal card. You have something like Fading Memories, which combos. So they have some other stuff that does combo with other strategies. This working with Zed as well as, you know, its own ephemeral followers. And you have a really cool card in Atrocity, which I didn't really think was good at first, I'll admit. But I guess I underestimated the ability to be able to put it in more of a combo deck or an OTK deck and have it work with something like Commander Lidros. For that reason, I think it's great. And it creates kind of another win condition similar to Fiora. I love cards like that bring about their own deck and their own strategy almost outside of the regular game mechanics. So Possession, which seems like it could be good, but I haven't really seen it played much at all. So it's kind of weighted more towards, you know, the stronger, you know, power cards. But in all reality, almost every spell here is very, very good and played in a competitive deck. So they are getting these 6 out of 6. So next we get into burst spells, and what's funny with burst spells, and which people probably didn't even realize, they only have 2 burst spells. They have 2 burst spells. So something like an Ionia, which is another reason why I rated Control for Ionia higher than Shadow Isles. Every single card could be denied theoretically if the Ionia deck was playing denied. And really the only 2 burst spells don't have a huge impact on the game. You know, Fading Memories is good. It's great for comboing. And so is Mark of the Isles, but they're not like crucial, critical pieces to the puzzle when they're playing against something like Ionia. For that reason, they're getting a 1 out of 6 for burst. Championes. All right, so this is interesting because I still think Shadow Isles is overall an amazing class, but their champions I just don't feel like are good. I mean, really, you know, when I first started playing, I was like, man, Elise seems really fun. Spider, token, swarm type deck. Let's try that. It's bound to be good. Usually, you know, token aggro decks tend to be good in any type of card game. So I kind of gravitated towards Elise. One of my first videos was an Elise deck, so link in the description below and up top if you want to check it out. And it worked. It did what it's supposed to do, but it didn't really end up being one of the top competitive decks. It's playable for sure, but not the top competitive decks. Callista at first seemed like a really good. I actually paired her with Elise in a Spider token deck. Then they nerfed Callista, kind of changed her effect a little bit, and again, just never really found a place. Thresh is, I mean, he seems good on the surface, 3/6. When he sees 6 units die, he can actually summon a champion from the deck with his leveled up form, which seems, again, pretty good. But again, he just never really found a place in too many decks. I did see him splashed here and there in some decks. I think usually as a 1-of, though. Now, Hecarim is really why they're even getting the 2, because Hecarim is in the that ephemeral deck where it's, you know, Shadow Isles and Noxus, and they combo off with things like Fading Memories, yada, yada, yada. Hecarim in and of himself is amazing, but he's very, very reliant on having your strategy succeed into the late game. I mean, first off, he's a 6-drop. And he needs to stay on the field and have other ephemerals on the field with him. And the thing with ephemeral is, if you're playing ephemeral aggro, you're usually blowing your load, so to speak, very quickly in the beginning of the game, right? So if you, by the time you make it to turn 6, you probably don't have that many ephemerals left. So really the only strategy, which is why people play Hecarim, is if you top deck Hecarim or you have him in, you know, one other card in your hand, when you do summon him and attack, it will bring back the other Shark Chariots, and hopefully you can combo off somehow once again for that final push to kill your opponent. But again, it's very, very, very reliant upon that entire strategy being successful. So I don't really love the champions in Shadow Isles, so we're going to stick with the 2 out of 6. Followers and units. This is where Shadow Isles kicks it back into high gear. They are receiving the 6 out of 6. I mean, everything in here is very, very playable and useful. Similar to Demacia. So Demacia get the 5 out of 5. You know, everything in Demacia was pretty decent. The difference with Shadow Isles is not only is everything pretty decent, but they have power cards in their followers. I mean, you have Raza is a pretty ridiculous card. Commander Lidros enables his own deck, which I was just mentioning earlier, which is great. And you have the Rekindler, which everybody was just going nuts with, especially with that stupid Anivia combo that I'm sure is going to be rampant if they don't make any nerfs before the start of the next beta. And then you just have, you know, a lot of other really meta-changing, meta-affecting cards like the Undying, like Phantom Prankster, like Soul Shepherd, like Shark Chariot. And then you have all these ephemeral guys that also obviously help with the ephemeral strategy. So, I mean, easy 6 out of 6. Everything here is pretty much playable with the exception of possibly Sinister Poro. And that's about it. And last but not least, we have the power cards. And they're getting the 5 out of 6 for the power cards. And again, I think we just mentioned them earlier, but I just want to clarify. We got Vengeance, the Ruination, and the Harrowing. These cards are insane. They're great. They're some of the best removal in the game, if not the best, probably the best. I will also, for the time being, throw the Rekindler in here because of that stupid, like I can't not because of the Anivia combo. To me right now, the Rekindler in a Anivia deck is just the most ridiculous deck. Like if there were a competitive scene right now for Legends of Runeterra, that deck would probably win most of the time. It's ridiculously strong, and there's something that needs to be done about it. I imagine and I foresee that potentially getting changed. I don't know if the Rekindler will get changed, but some sort of card in that combo, whether it be how Anivia interacts with it or whatever. Their spells are where they shine, so we get the Harrowing, Ruination, and Vengeance. Some key removal in Legends of Runeterra. That's it. We're done. Finally. That's all 6. All 6 regions are done. That leaves Shadow Isles with a 37 out of 54 for a total. In the next video, I'm going to be going over all the regions as a whole, just kind of summarizing everything with all these reviews and going over the list in order of who ended up first with these reviews, who ended up dead last, and most importantly, my thoughts on how I think this list is going to change as the new beta approaches. So, until the next video, I wish everybody the best of luck in trying to contain your excitement over the next week or so. I know I'm having a real hard time doing that, but I'm sure we'll make it through together. Stay positive. Peace out.